The Arizona Cardinals missed on Milton Williams, but it's fine. There's time. Legal tampering isn't even 6 hours old, and the Cardinals have plenty of time to add some talent in much needed areas. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet, and it wins at FanDuel.com. So I didn't know when the hell to record this today. I was going to record it yesterday, but I'm like, you know what? Could be a fool's errand if things pop off midday. I can't wait any longer, okay? So for those that have been around, for everydayers who've been around for a couple of years, myriad off seasons, you'll know this disclaimer that's coming. If something happens after I post this, I didn't forget to talk about it on the show, okay? I can't just go live like a crazy person for 12 hours. It's just not in the cards. I just can't do it. So I'll be with you all week. I'll be posting shorts during breaking news times. Like, you will be together, okay? Even if it's not during this 28-minute span. If something happens this evening, I will be talking about it tomorrow. We'll have a structure in place. Don't you worry about that, okay? And I promise that while I'm recording, I will be looking at Twitter once in a while to make sure that I'm not missing something. So here we go. The Cardinals miss out on Milton Williams twice. I'll discuss. Is the O-line set? The Cardinals have re-signed a couple offensive linemen, 3 to be exact, or 2 to be exact, and seems to be that's the place that the Cardinals are happy with moving forward. We can talk about the draft if they're going to draft somebody later. That's not what this is for. And then finally, is there a big move coming? Is Michael Bidwell going to put his big boy pants on and take a swing for one of the remaining free agents or trade for somebody who's on the trade block, namely Trey Hendrickson from Cincinnati? But first, no Milton Williams. The Cardinals struck out twice. So first, there was a report out by Diana Rossini and others that Milton Williams was close to signing with the Panthers. It first came out that he was signing with the Panthers by Joe Person, a longtime Carolina Panthers beat writer, and then Diana Rossini clarified by saying it's close. There are other teams in the mix. The Cardinals and the Patriots and the Vikings were the other 3 teams. And then it came out not 10 minutes ago that Milton Williams has signed a big boy deal with the New England Patriots, $26 million a year, taking the Cardinals' top choice at interior defensive lineman off the board. Not great, okay? I don't know if this was dollars and cents. I don't know if this was Mike Vrabel being, a former front 7 player for the Patriots and what they're building there on the defense with Christian Gonzalez, et cetera. I'm not sure what the disconnect was. I don't know if it was money. We don't know a whole lot about that now. But what I do know, and this is something that's unfortunate, but I do know that this is a familiar feeling that you are feeling, that I am feeling from our respective sides of the table. It's a familiar feeling. The Cardinals missing out on coveted free agents. And the Patriots have spent a lot of money. The Cardinals haven't spent much of anything. And I'll discuss who they signed. They brought back Baron Browning. A couple things have happened since we talked last. This is a familiar feeling. And it sucks. And it's normal. And that sucks. The upside is there's a lot of time left. There's a handful of people that the Cardinals want to sign. You're starting to see a dwindling in other salary caps, and you're not seeing that with the Cardinals. The Commanders gave Javon Kinlaw $30 million guaranteed. Okay? The Patriots are spending all of this cheese, and the Cardinals really haven't done a whole lot that will impact a large chunk of their salary cap for this year, next year, and the year after. So there's still plenty of room. It's not like the Cardinals have signed 4 guys for, $65 million. It's going to eat up the salary cap for the next couple seasons, and the Cardinals are hamstrung. No. While that may be the case this time tomorrow, it hasn't happened yet. They've done some house cleaning, brought back some of their own, just like they did during the first wave last year. But let's chill here for a second. The first wave hasn't even this is still the first wave. Okay, we're like 2.5 hours into the first wave. I know some stuff happened yesterday, but it was a lot of re-signing players and a lot of players who the Cardinals weren't going to be in on anyways. Oh, DK Metcalf went to the Steelers. Oh, the Steelers are looking to win. The Steelers completely decimated their offensive line to give a wide receiver $30 million. It's like, what are we doing here? Just because other teams have spent a lot of money on what are looked at as quote-unquote premium positions, but premium positions that don't equate to winning Super Bowls by and large, that's fine. The Cardinals are running their race. They were close to Milton Williams. It's like, I hate even, I'm going to throw up. That this is something that I, that I have to say as like a positive, but at least they were tied to a free agent. At least they were tied to one for a minute. Isn't that cool? Isn't that something sweet? Isn't that the bee's knees? It hasn't been great, but watching Milton Williams go stinks. It seems at least the Cardinals were close to that number. I'm not sure. We don't know. It literally just happened not 20 minutes ago. So we don't know the rhyme or reason as to why the Cardinals couldn't get it done. Maybe they saw signing 2 other pieces. Maybe they saw Josh Sweat as more of a piece that could fit the mold for Monty Osborne. Milton Williams may be a 1 or 2 down player, depending on the scheme, and you're going to have Josh Sweat on the field for 3 down/4 downs, every defensive series. Like, maybe it came down to that. Maybe it came down to guarantees. We don't know. But what we do know is the Cardinals were in on the top interior defensive lineman this free agency, and they missed twice. Carolina first, and then he pivoted to New England. So the Cardinals had a 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 5 shot, and weren't able to bring it up. I don't really know, because this is kind of like a post-game show where it's just like a lot of this is just getting thrown at us in real time. And I didn't want to wait till 5 o'clock to record because, I wanted to give you guys some content in the middle of the day at least. I don't see this as a nail in the coffin by any stretch. Now what? The names are dwindling. That's just the existential crisis the Cardinals are in. Where now you may have to give a little bit more cheese to somebody to get them to come here rather than everything going to plan like they had hoped it would with Milton Williams. There was never like Milton Williams is in strong consideration. There's always 5 teams and 2 of them are out. 2 of them are really in. One's kind of in purgatory in the middle. And it doesn't really seem like Milton Williams wanted to come here, which, to each their own. The history shows that it's a good choice. But I do think that the history is kind of working against the Cardinals and what they're trying to build now, because they are a vastly different organization, at least from GM down, than they were in years past. They just are. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. They have made some moves. A couple offensive line pieces back. Baron Browning back, as I mentioned. What does it mean? Were they the right moves? I'll discuss it next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends over at TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who you can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives you taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deductible possible and find every form, every investment, and everything with 100% accuracy and file it for you. Also, you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is Taxes. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available at TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. If you want to leave a review where reviews are left, that's awesome. You know that I'm just happy that you're here. I'll never make you do anything or request it at the top of every segment. I'm just happy that you're here. Hopefully you enjoy the content that I put out, and it's only going to get better from here. A little side note here, Sam Darnold is the new quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, signing a big daddy deal over there. I guess that's positive news for the Cardinals, right? I'd much rather see Sam Darnold twice a year with that depleted offense than Geno Smith with the loaded offense they had. DK Metcalf is gone. Tyler Lockett is gone. Jackson Smith and Jake Bobo are now their two starting wide receivers. So that's a benefit for the Cardinals. The O-line is set, question mark, for now. Evan Brown, 2-year, $11.5 back. Kelvin Beachum, 1-year deal back. I think these are both good housekeeping moves. Evan Brown, there was questions on if he was going to return. I think the benefit from Evan Brown coming back is that he can play center. So he would be a backup to Yalta Frolt if he were to go out. Isaiah Adams is looked at as the starting right guard at this point. I still think they need to go back and sign Will Hernandez. I don't know why they wouldn't. I know he might miss a little bit of time, but he was out in week 5. So depending on the injury and depending on his recovery, he could be ready for week 1. I think that's the only move that I'd make in free agency. I don't think, like, with the amount of money that's being spewed out to offensive linemen, this is what I've been talking about. This is what I've been prepping you for. If you're going to spend money on an offensive lineman during free agency, you're going to be overspending. And we've seen a large portion of the time, not absolute, not 80%, not even if it's 60% of the time, these massive deals don't work out. So that's why I've been pounding the table for the Cardinals to sign a lineman or draft a lineman at 16. We'll see what happens. Like, if the Cardinals can't sign Josh Sweat or trade for Trey Hendrickson, we're going to be having a different conversation. I've been having these conversations predicated upon the fact that the Cardinals are going to spend their money wisely on the defensive side of the ball. And before you go tisk, how can you trust this organization? You got to trust them. Because if the Cardinals don't spend a chunk of money on defense, I'm going to be having very different conversations around the draft and during this offseason. It's in the world of what the hell are we doing here, guys, kind of thing. So when you look at where the Cardinals are now and you look at where we want them, to hopefully get to, allocation of funds is obviously going to be massive. Now, what are we looking at with the offensive line moving forward with the moves that they've made? I mean, what we saw from last year is, for 60% of the season, they were great. And Evan Brown was a surprise. He was the guy coming out of camp who wasn't the popular name. Some were thinking that Isaiah Adams was going to go in there. Some thought that they were going to move or they were going to bring in a left guard to play, but he had the job and he held on to the job and, he kept the job. I just think that bringing back Will Hernandez is key. 2-year deal. That's the Monty Ossenfort thing. 2-year deal. And that may have something to do with why they couldn't bring in Milton Williams. Maybe he wanted a longer contract that the Cardinals didn't want to give him. That's not the Monty Ossenfort way. I think that if they do trade for Trey Hendrickson, that would be the case where obviously you're giving up capital and you want him to be your lead pass rusher for the next 4 seasons. That would make more sense. But, I think that Kelvin Beachum is a very underrated signing. The offensive line was great when he was there, and then when Jonah Williams came back, it fell off a cliff. I don't know why. I've alluded to this. It doesn't make any sense as to why that was a direct correlative. It wasn't. It was more of a coincidence, but it was a thing. I think until Kelvin Beachum can't play, he's a fantastic rotational swing tackle for this team. He's fantastic. He's going to be great. He's a great locker room guy. It's very low impact signing also. So Evan Brown, you're giving your left guard $5 million when some guys are going for, $20 million a year during free agency. You don't want to dump money. You see much more of an impact with weak performances from high-paid players on offensive line that you bring into free agency as opposed to pass rush. You can mask a bad pass or a lesser than pass rush who's not living up to potential much more than having 5 guys every play getting bull rushed by opposing defenders. It's a lot easier to mask otherwise. So I don't understand why, the Cardinals are missing on the defensive side of the ball, but I completely understand what they're doing offensively. I still think, barring them completely punting on bringing in a pass rusher of any merit or interior defensive lineman, that they should draft an offensive lineman at 16 to solidify that front regardless of who's quarterback in 2026. They also brought back Baron Browning, very team-friendly deal. He's making about $7.5 million a year. The dude was a solid piece in the pass rusher room. And when you trade for somebody, I don't really see them moving off from him. He wanted to be here, sign a couple-year deal before he got to free agency. If he's the baseline for a pass rusher for the Cardinals moving forward, they're going to be in a really good spot. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Are there any big moves incoming? It comes down to one thing and one thing only. Mikey, baby. We'll discuss it next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra dollars to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I'm telling you, March Madness is insane. You know it's insane. All of the games, all of the futures, everything like that, FanDuel's got you covered. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the action for all college hoops, all tournament long. Again, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Locked On Cardinals. I wonder if that was it. You know, I wonder if the Arizona Cardinals, with Monty Osfort, wanted to give him a shorter deal than what Milton Williams wanted. And it wouldn't make sense, like, give him a 3-year deal, $90 million, with an out after the second year, so you're not beholden to a player for, longer than you want to be. Listen, it's really unfortunate that that's how contracts should be. It's better for both sides. You can front load the guaranteed money, and then the player has a chance at an opt-out, and then go get new money somewhere else or stay where they are. All these 5-year deals, how often do they really work out? Most of the time, they're restructured midway through. Money's kicked down the road. Monty Osborne's trying to, renovate contracts in the NFL, and he's striking out. Nobody sees the value. At least I see the value. I think that that's a really smart way to go about doing things where, you're not screwed for 5 years if things don't work out one way or the other. Our big moves coming. This is the only time I can do this segment because we're, just in the beginning. Obviously, in the next 96 hours, we'll know a lot more. There's fewer and far between players are going to make an impact on the defense specifically for the Cardinals. So we're looking at Josh Sweat. We're looking at trading for Trey Hendrickson. That's it. Like, it is. And another name, Hassan Reddick, signed elsewhere as well. So I think it was Tampa Bay. 14 mil. It was too much. 1-year deal. Like, at this point in the Cardinals' growth, you don't want to sign a 1-year rental, especially if having to overpay for a couple. Like, it was 1 year 7, 1 year 8, or with elevators or escalators up to 12 or 13, depending on performance. That's a different conversation. This comes down to one thing. Say it with me now. Michael Bidwell. So, while, yes, Michael Bidwell has paid players, like literally paid players tens of millions of dollars. He's done it because you have to run an organization. Like, you don't get kudos for paying a quarterback or for I don't understand. Who else is going to play? I'm getting that on Twitter. Oh, he's never been afraid to pay players. Okay. All right. You can take that in your pipe and smoke it. Continue that. This is Michael Bidwell's time to shine. If the Cardinals wanted to, they could sign Josh Sweat and trade for Trey Hendrickson. They could 100% do that and afford it. Especially if Trey Hendrickson's only going to warrant a second-round pick. Yeah. He's going to be upwards of $30 million a year. Yeah. Josh Sweat will be, 20 to 25 a year. Yeah, they will. And that's what good players go for. The Cardinals haven't had a whole bunch. They haven't had many of those players that warrant that type of money. And look at what their team has been. This is the time. Normally it's the quarterback. Okay, so the quarterback's on the rookie scale deal. That's when you load up. The Cardinals now have the 11th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Average annual value, Kyler Murray. 11th. There's only 32 teams in the NFL, so he's closer to, the middle than the top. And most of their high skill position group players are on their rookie scale contracts still. Okay, Trey McBride is going to get a contract, you would assume, within the next couple of days. Like, I don't know why they dragged that out. I think it's just like set and forget. Boom. Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch makes no money. Paris Johnson Jr. Nobody on the offensive line makes any money. And then you've got Bijan Ojulari, who's coming back off an injury, Darius Robinson. Mac Wilson doesn't make a lot of money. Then Garrett Williams, Max Melton, Jalen Thompson is, that's becoming a more and more team-friendly deal. Dadrian Taylor-Demerson and Budda Baker and James Conner already got paid. This is the time to go throw all of the money at proven talent, all of it, every single dollar. And it depends on if Michael Bidwell wants to value performance over profit, value performance and production over bottom line. This is the time to do it this year, not next year, this year. Taking advantage of opportunities when the NFC West hasn't been this much in flux in quite some time. Seattle, bottom of the barrel. The Rams, they signed Devontae Adams. They have Puka Nacua. They got a young defense. They're probably the favorite, even though everybody's going to pick San Francisco because everybody always picks San Francisco to win the NFC West. We'll see what the 49ers do. But this is the opportunity the Cardinals have to really shoot up the ranks, where they see this little door ajar into weakness for the other three teams in the NFC West to really go strike while the iron is flipping hot. Go get two impact guys and be off to the races when the majority of your stud players are still on the rookie scale deals or on such favorable deals for the Cardinals moving forward. This is the time to strike. And we'll see. But when you look at, is there a big move coming? This is all Michael Bidwell. Because I'll tell you, when it comes to money, when it comes to where players want to play, money always wins. DK Metcalf, I want to go to a warm weather city, Pittsburgh. Myles Garrett, I want to play for a contender, extension. Doesn't matter. The Cardinals have the money to go, grab Josh Sweat from the grasps of another team who may pay him a little bit less, who may be closer to competing for a Super Bowl. I don't know if they're posturing with Trey Hendrickson and maybe they're just going to extend him. You can't pay him and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. If they have this, this moment of clarity where it's like, maybe they don't pay T. Higgins. Maybe they re-sign Trey Hendrickson. That would put the Cardinals in a very bad spot. At this point, the Cardinals still have myriad opportunity to make massive upgrades to this defense. There's plenty of time. Free agency hasn't technically even started yet. But it comes down to Michael Bidwell and his choice between production on the field and his bottom line. We'll see what he chooses. Remember, without you, there is no me. And remember, if something breaks after I post this, I didn't forget to talk about it. So give me the benefit of the doubt. I'm on like a tugboat with no oars, hoping that I post this at the right time. Bear with me this week. You're going to get the content you want. Remember, again, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you tomorrow. You'll see some reels. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. This is a perfect time to keep up to date with thoughts between shows. Irrespective of that, I'll talk to you tomorrow.